The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org.
I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Poppy Tooker, host of Louisiana Eats on WWNO Radio. Hey, Miss Poppy.
Hey,
hello.
Peg.
Alfred Richard, movie critic for WWL-TV. Hello.
Hello there.
And he's back from NYC, Alan Smason, editor of the Crescent City Jewish News and theatercriticism.com. We're in our holiday mode tonight. Poppy, one of your featured restaurants, features a full evening of unique dishes.
Well,
Yes?
there's nothing on our menu here at Steppin Out tonight but full evenings of unusual dishes. And the reason I thought it would be a great idea to talk about these two particular restaurants that have these tasting menus is, you know, the weatherman's telling the truth. We are not going to want to be out shopping Friday and Saturday. And you can go online. I checked, and there are reservations available at both De Carnola and Saint Germain. Now, De Carnola is the newest. That is Serene Mabay, who made a big name for himself with his pop-up under De Carnola. He was a sous chef under Tori McPhail at Commander's Palace. He has cooked with Dominique Crenn, some of the finest talent in the United States. He has staged or actually worked in their kitchens. He is bringing us New Orleans ingredients presented Senegalese style. Serene believes that the ties are so close between Africa and New Orleans, and he wants to show it to us in every bite, and that's what he does. So it's a 7-course tasting menu. Several of them are served family style. Look at that beautiful dessert. One dish was more unusual and delicious than the next. I highly recommend it. Go online, get the reservations, and write a lovely sentiment in a Christmas card. And that's my recommendation, along with, okay, this is it. I talked about Saint Germain a long time ago when they first opened, and of course I'm talking about the restaurant that's down on St. Claude Avenue. If you're looking for it, there's a neon sign that says Sugar Park outside, and these three ambitious young men set out to make a fine restaurant, and boy did they. And in the several years since they've been open, I think they'll be going into their 4th year, they have been named, the two chefs have been named Best Chefs of America by Food and Wine magazine. They've gotten lots of accolades, and I think they have really refined the experience there. And so this is 10 courses.
Wow.
But this is 10 courses like you're with Alain Ducasse, north of Paris, or maybe you're at Per Se in New York City. The food is totally comparable to that sort of quality. With the 10 courses, they start you at the bar now. And so you have 3 courses at the bar. The first thing was an itty-bitty little cup of Parmesan broth. I never had that in my life. It was crazy delicious, out of this world. But from there, it just went on to again and again, the best thing I'd ever tasted. There was, oh, look at the sea bass. It was exquisite. There was a meat course that was beautiful. There was a steak tartare with shaved blue cheese on top and a little aerated béarnaise sauce. That was what was coming for dessert. Well, the second to last course was sort of savory and sweet. An exquisite cheese souffle with a bit of a caramel sugar crust on the bottom. So it kind of translates sweet and savory. They have 3 seatings. You can get reservations as soon as that first week of January. If you have not given yourself or other people you love the gift of Saint Germain, give it in 2023. They are on their game and may be one of the very best in New Orleans.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And turning to Alfred, always busy on, of course, Hollywood on the Bayou.
That's right, Hollywood on the Bayou. It's no longer just Hollywood South. We're going to do Hollywood on the Bayou because the filmmaking and television series creations that are taking place extend not just to Orleans, but also in the North Shore, all the way out toward the west in Baton Rouge, Thibodaux, even as Bossier City and Lake Charles, for that matter. They're getting into it. But one of the big productions that is part of what was 2022 is The Nickel Boys. Now, this one is set in a time based on the Combe Whitehead novel. It's about a situation that happened in which young men were abused and taken advantage of in the 1950s and 1960s in Tallahassee, Florida. In this case, I'm not giving anything away, Thibodaux, Louisiana doubles for Tallahassee in 1960s. So people are set in that time. I had the opportunity to work with some of the people on that. It is being filmed in New Orleans and Thibodaux, and it is still working now. It's on a break for the holidays, but they will resume back and will film through January 16th of 2023. Now, for those of you, as Hap Glaudy used to say, and now something for the ladies, wrestling. That's right. Zac Efron, who bulked himself up to become Kerry Von Erich in the film The Iron Claw, based on the family, the Von Erich wrestling family. And Zac Efron there, you see, he's giving a flying drop kick in the ring for world-class championship wrestling. Well, it's being filmed in Baton Rouge, and he's even, as you say, he's gotten into the role there. It's just wrapped up its main production time up there in Baton Rouge. But yes, you'll get a chance to see some wrestling and, of course, see Zac Efron all beefed up and ready to go. And we have Emma Stone, one of my favorite actresses. She's working in this new film called And. In fact, it's just finishing its production in this area. She and a host of other performers, including Harvey Keitel, have come in and been working. So you may have seen her around the area. If you thought you saw Emma Stone or Harvey Keitel, you probably saw Emma Stone and Harvey Keitel. It wrapped up back in the beginning part of December, on December 16th. And if you passed anything around the old airport, the old Moisant or Armstrong Old Airport, Taron Egerton, who of course played Elton John in Rocket Man, he's in a new film called Carry On, and I've had the opportunity, I have to give honest, I have opportunity in working on that film. It's being shot in New Orleans and in Kenna, or as they say, Kennebra, and the filming will continue until January 23rd, so it will probably be released later in 2023. And we're talking about movies that we love, especially around this time of the year. I'm a little eclectic when it comes to my choices. First of all, the one that always sticks with me, A Christmas Story. The story of little Ralphie wanting his Red Ryder repeating action BB gun. And of course, remember, you'll shoot your eye out, kid. And now there are stores who are actually selling Red Ryder BB guns.
Really?
The same type.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a great idea.
No,
but
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Another one, considering for many years, Peggy, I ran something called the New Orleans Worst Film Festival. This is one that we showed, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. This is a real title, ladies and gentlemen. Pia Zadora, yes, that Pia Zadora, she played Gurmar, Girl Martian, Gurmar, that's how it worked.
Okay.
And as I said, the title speaks for itself. And finally, a classic film noir film. It's called The Lady in the Lake. It stars Robert Montgomery playing Philip Marlowe and Audrey Totter playing Adrian Fromset, who is a possible villain, but also his love interest. I love these type of films, and it's set in the holiday period. So again, I go completely off the board. You're not going to get any real traditional out of me.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Alfred. I always have to watch, must, Holiday Inn, the original Holiday Inn in black and white, Fred Astaire, and of course Bing Crosby, and chock full of Irving Berlin songs.
Yes,
so
of
that is a
course,
must
White
for me.
Christmas.
And moving over to Alan, he just got back
yes.
from NYC, and so did I, at different times.
And I just want to say my Christmas movie to go to is Die Hard. I just love it.
Die Hard.
Anyway.
I will debate that Die Hard
that
is
is
not
so
a Christmas
funny.
movie.
Anyway, yes, I just returned from the Great White Way, and I want to tell everybody about the recently opened Museum of Broadway. It's located a half a block off of Times Square at 145 West 45th Street. The cost about $50, so it's not, exactly small, but they do have lower prices for the seniors and for the students. If you love Broadway, you're going to find this a fantastic trip back in time. It's very well researched, and I really encourage people to go. Lots of picture taking. They want you to take pictures inside. Now, if you check out my NOLA Theater Talk Show from Monday night, you'll see a virtual tour of the first half of this museum. I'm going to be showing the last half on an upcoming show. Just too many pictures. Meanwhile, on Broadway, I had the pleasure to review the brand new show, Some Like It Hot. And again, this show, I have to say, was one day past its official opening. It was really sensational. I had the privilege of attending a pre-show dinner, and you can see I'm there with the original Lula, Inga, Hansen, Benson, Janssen, Talon, Helen, Sveden, Swanson, from the producers Katie Huffman, who's on the right there, Tony Award winner, and then Katie's second replacement was Angie Schor, who's the blonde in the center. She's also in the prom from before, but she's a featured performer in Some Like It Hot. And Marianne McSwaney, who is one of Katie's partners, she plays the bass, which is very important in the show, and happens to be one of her partners again. We all enjoyed a pre-show dinner at Sardi's, and we all ordered off the actors menu. The show is a tour de force, though, for Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman, along with the director, Casey Nicoslaw. It stars Christian Borle, Jay Harrison Gee as Joe and Jerry, two musicians on the lam from the mob after witnessing a hit. They disguise themselves as women to escape. And also impressive of the work is Adriana Hicks as Sugarcane. You may remember her from Six. Her songs soar, and she sparks the stage with Christian as he pursues her. It was a fantastic night, and my review is now posted on theatercriticism.com. After the show, Katie and I had some fun. We were joined by the co-lyricist Scott Whitman on the left, along with Angie and Katie, and I took in the recent David Lindsay A Bear show right after this. I have to tell you, with Janine Tesori, and the fantastic Victoria Clark in another show that I mentioned, but. I have to tell you, Kimberly Akimbo, yes. If you get a chance to see this, David Lindsay Abaire, Janine Tesori. Another standout in this particular show is Bonnie Milligan as the aunt, who you might remember her from Head Over Heels. She's on really barely operating on the right side of the law. She's hilarious. Bonnie Milligan, take a look at her. She's just a fantastic actor as well.
Alan, just a quick P.S.
Yeah.
David Lindsay Abaire was one of the early winners of the one-act play competition at the Tennessee Williams New Orleans Literary Festival.
That's right.
Very proud
I understand
to be able to say that. Go ahead.
So hopefully, and then of course, Raman Kamerlou was out. There's Bonnie Milligan right there. But Raman Kamerlou and Tova Felcher were both out due to medical issues unrelated to COVID, by the way. But I took in the matinee of Funny Girl last Wednesday, and I have to say that it was in fact the Leah Michelle show. But the audience was clearly there to see her, and congratulations to Leah, who I say right now is now a $2 million woman. She's taken the gross week for that show from $1 million to $2 million. That's fantastic. Closer to home, the Sanger Theater announced John Sartori as its new director of marketing. He's a former New Orleanian who returns after a year away. The Sanger brings yet another nutcracker to New Orleans next week with two shows at 4 and 8 p.m. This group has its roots in the Moscow ballet scene. And then right after the new year, the Sanger presents the 50th anniversary production of Jesus Christ Superstar. We want to make sure that you know about that as well. Also, two musicals are opening soon. First at Le Petit, they're presenting The Color Purple for the first time. And then at Rivertown, Ricky Graham is preparing to unveil his latest production of A Funny Thing Happened on the way to the Forum. This will probably sell out quickly, so be forewarned. And finally, I wanted to make a little Christmas present for our viewers and listeners. This is a little snippet of a brand new audio recording by our very own Cyril Neville. You can look for it on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your downloads. It's titled Christmas Scene in New Orleans, and also he's got a brand new version of Jingle Bells. Let's listen.
You're off your option on the street. Take your son and your daughter down to the French Quarter. I am a Christmas tree. Oh, that's the time they getting down in the yard. Keep frying turkeys, making music and playing cards. Auntie Mary sings for her fella, dancing with a red umbrella. That's the scene at Christmas time in New Orleans.
All right, Alan, isn't that great that we have a new Christmas song to celebrate?
Two of them.
So both are also on all those platforms.
Yeah, Valley Entertainment is a sponsor of that. Yeah. So and again, we hope to maybe see a whole new album of his.
All right, thank you so much. And speaking of NYC, I also recently visited the Big Apple and thought that you would enjoy seeing some windows along Fifth Avenue. First up, Bergdorf Goodman's theme pays tribute. Okay, look at that. Hold on. Okay, to artisans and their techniques, traditions, and handiwork. Okay, see the needle and the thread. Okay, and then we have another one. Let's see, that's very green. Note the detail on the parakeet. And that's all I can say about that. And there are a few more, but kind of, I don't know. I'd love to have a little bit more information on that. Then, on the street, though, were whimsical figures. And let me show you one of these. The snowman in an airplane. Just precious. It was kind of cold up there, by the way. We'll know about that soon, right? And on to the luggage and leather goods store, Louis Vuitton, because they covered their building with a giant Christmas tree. And now we're going to Saks Fifth Avenue. It looked back at childhood toys from the past, including rockets. And they also have like a sound and light show relating to Elton John, who was very involved, like Rocket Man. But look at the rockets, aren't they great? And then we moved on to a spinning top that actually does spin. And then we've got an old-timey Viewmaster. Remember, giant Viewmaster. Okay, and then a kaleidoscope. Now, here are a few seconds of this mechanized display, and listen to the sounds of Fifth Avenue. Isn't that wonderful? That was the first toy I remember as a baby boomer, you know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. In 2022, we at WYES began a new feature online that focuses on our city's past. Here's a look back at a New Orleans Christmas from the more recent past. Memories of Christmas in New Orleans in the 1950s and 60s would most certainly include downtown Canal Street. Of course, getting your picture taken with Santa was a must. This is little me. I guess I was mesmerized by being in the presence of such a celebrity. At the top of Monica Barthé Turner's photo with Santa, you can actually see a Mr. Bingle doll, which means that this photo was taken at Maison Blanche department store. Bingle's initials were MB, the same as the store name. He was a mascot for the popular retail establishment. Bingle still exists today thanks to Dillard's. D.H. Holmes department store was another must-visit along Canal Street, with its elaborate holiday windows. Further down the street was the magnificent home of the Centani family. From the mid-40s until the mid-60s, Mrs. Myra Collins Centani and her husband Sal created a winter wonderland. The Centanis even inspired a young Al Copeland, founder of Popeye's famous fried chicken, who would go on to lavishly decorate his own home for Christmas.
Some of his neighbors.
And for more vignettes that are called Peggy's Piece of the Past, go to the WYES channel on YouTube. And among the topics online are the St. Charles Hotel, Southern Railway Station, and a night on the town in the 1970s, to name a few. And I also wanted to show you some current local holiday decorations. the historic Roosevelt Lobby. There we go. And who is that? That's Alfred Laborde. And I remember the angel hair canopy a while back, too. There you are. That's more of a wide shot. All right. And yes, our own Alfred Laborde was recently shown in that. Okay. And then we're moving on, of course, to the Windsor Court, a magnificent tree at the Windsor Court. Photo by Dominic Massa. Thanks, Dom. And moving on to the Ritz-Carlton on Canal Street, a streetcar made of gingerbread with some local and national notables in the windows, including Grammy and Academy Award winner Jon Batiste. Let's see, take a look at John, a gander. And of course, that is also, then we also have Alan Toussaint. And just beautiful. Thank you so much for Pat Jolly for those great photos. One last bit of nostalgia. This is a photo of longtime WWL radio and TV personality Henry Dupre, better known to many of us as Uncle Henry. He, of course, was a co-host of the Dawn Busters radio show and also hosted the Popeye and Pals children's show on Channel 4. And each year, he would also help organize and promote the Toys for Tots campaign, collecting toys at Christmas for sick and needy children. And thanks to Dom also for that photo, too. But let's go around the table, and I love being able to say that. Poppy, a Christmas memory, a New Orleans Christmas memory.
I don't understand why no one ever talks about Wreath the Florist. There were some incredible Christmas
Right by
movies.
Elysian Fields, Gentile Boulevard.
It seemed very
Brother
far
Martin.
away from this little uptown girl, but there was some 8mm movies of my great-grandmother and all of us there. Unfortunately, washed out into the Bay of St. Louis from Daddy's house. But I have such a memory, and I don't know why we don't hear more about Wreath the Florist.
Yeah, so just a lot of poinsettias, I'm sure, the max. And over to Alfred.
One of my favorite memories was when my parents were able to go onto Canal Street, and we would go to Maison Blanche, and I remember hearing the Mr. Bingle song, but also to Sears on Baronne Street, and go there to the big toy box, and I would try to get my parents to say, could you get me this for Christmas? And some reason, somehow, it would always show up under the tree. I wonder how that worked.
And that was one of the rare buildings that had a basement.
Yes, it was so odd because you could go down into the basement, and I thought, New Orleans with a basement, what, we would have water everywhere? But it was still amazing. You see the big Santa in the front of Baronne on that building. That was one of my favorite memories of that time.
I love that. Alan.
Well, my dad used to work.
Happy Hanukkah,
Thank you.
by
Yeah,
the
my
way.
dad used to work at Maison Blanche, so I got a close up in front. He was the head of the optical department there for many years. Yeah.
Oh.
So I got to see the window. That I always remember that window. But the thing
Bingle.
for me was the Mr. Bingle, and I'm wearing a little Mr. Bingle pin today. But I used to work at WSMB. When I worked at WSMB, that was where they would record those window skits, if you will. And Oscar Eisentraut, who was the voice of Mr. Bingle, I can't do it like he did.
That's pretty good.
He was very good, but I tell you what, if I could have imagined anybody portraying Mr. Bingle, it would not have looked like Oscar Eisentraut. He was completely, if you imagine in your mind somebody, he was very thin. He smoked like a chimney. It was just amazing. But it kind of dashed my childhood, hero worship there. But again, he was enthusiastic about doing that, and it was wonderful to see it done. So I enjoyed it. So that's different. That's, for me, was a whole different kind of thing. It was sort of like it dashed some of my Christmas hero worship there.
Oh. Well, just really quickly, and you saw my memories just a few minutes ago, but just to reiterate, my mom was a cosmetics buyer at D.H. Holmes's.
Oh,
at Holmes's, okay. And I also worked my way through college there. And so I remember especially the windows.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Apparently a huge budget. No limit to that. And it certainly was clear. But yeah, great memories on Canal Street. That is for sure. Thank you. And we're still in our Christmas mode and our holiday mode. Thanks to our pal, some show and tell, Maria K. Chetta, for some holiday cookies. These are by Joan Farrell Mathis. And the champagnes by Swiss Bakery. Now, champagnes are oyster patty shells with icing inside, and a lot of fun. But thank you, Maria Kay, and we're going to enjoy these very much. Also, thank you, Dillard's, for keeping Mr. Bingle, New Orleans' Christmas mascot, going. This year, in addition to dolls and ornaments, here is Mr. Bingle's cafe cart. The snowman is showing his donuts, and could also light up, but he's showing donuts, his beignets, with other treats in the background. Look at this. Isn't that darling? That is so cute.
And that's a perfect combination of Hanukkah with the oil and the fried foods that they encourage with Mr. Bingle, which is, of course, for Christmas. So you got both the Hanukkah and Christmas represented in there.
Good point. Good point. And don't forget, the NOLA Christmas Fest is up and running. My goodness, at the Convention Center between now and December 30th. Ice skating, a holiday market, food, decorations, drink, and rides, especially ice skating. How rare is that? Go to NOLAChristmasFest.com for more information. And photographer Cindy Hebert has put together a calendar, last-minute shopping idea, featuring a different neighborhood each month and highlighting lots of local events. Look at that. Isn't that great? Remembering New Orleans neighborhoods. And it's $25. Now, it's available at Blue Cypress Books on Oak Street and at Homus House in Gardens. And you can also contact her to get some, and that's Cindy Hebert directly. Or you could go to 504-669-3859, but you see her email address right there. And just an idea I had, if you're on vacation next week and you're looking for something to do, I would recommend visits to the Historic New Orleans Collection, 520 Royal, for their Colonial Spain exhibit and Notre Dame Cathedral exhibits. Free. What a deal. Also free, go into MS Ryle Antiques to see plenty of beautiful, beautiful French Impressionist paintings. And we're talking Monet and a little Manet, too. Lots of great stuff. And Jam Nola, all right, and that's a little off the beaten track, but it's right next to Noka, with wonderful rooms filled, if you haven't been there, with interactive items and celebrations to local culture. Check that out, and check all those websites out for information. But I think because, of course, of the last 2 years, we've got this pent-up energy about celebration.
Yes, indeed.
And I don't know about you all, but I feel that way, you know. And so we want to celebrate to the max here. And we appreciate all of you, of course, and we appreciate you who are watching. Yes, Alan, you want to say
Do we
something?
do our picks?
You can do your pick.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead.
Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra is going to be having a day to introduce youngsters to the orchestra with a family concert called The Conductor's Spellbook. It's going to be at Roussel Hall on January the 7th. So get your tickets now. It's only $15, but this is a great way to introduce the kids to the orchestra sound.
Poppy.
Well, happy Hanukkah, Alan. And if you want to celebrate, head over to Saba's L'Chaim Lounge, where Alon Shaya will be serving all sorts of Hanukkah foods, and it's a special separate bar area. If you haven't visited, head over there.
Okay.
And if you want to be in the Celtic spirit, my good friend Danny O'Flaherty's Celtic Christmas will be presented by the Jefferson Performing Arts Society on the 23rd, Friday the 23rd at 7:30 p.m. That's at 6400 Airline Drive, right next to the Shrine on Airline. Tickets are available at the door and at www.jpas.org.
All right. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Good night.
Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org.